Time is over, before you know you're older. So sober, alone, you getting my cold shoulder. You crying like it's rain, you causing all the pain. No closure, I'm colder, you getting nothing, joker.
Get down.
What is up, guys and girls? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all having fun, and most of all I hope you're all getting out on the water as much as possible. I know winter is coming and that is the reason I'm making more videos, because as most of you that follow me know, I work too much in the summer to make these videos. So I hope now I can help you out with some more things, make some more videos, get them out as much as I can, and help you out for the next coming summer, or for the brave ones of you, for those that surf in the winter. Now, today I thought we'd talk about something very basic, very important, that a lot of people either neglect or don't know where to find the information about it. The information about it is a bit scarce. I'm talking about setting up your harness lines in the right position. Now, why I say the information about it is a bit scarce or complicated is because a lot of the things that you find online go about the lines of 5 hands from your mast is the right position for your harness lines, etc, etc. Now, that is not completely wrong. It all is based on some certain facts, obviously, but it's not completely right either. It will never be exactly what you like it to be. This is because all sails are, not all sails, but obviously most sails are very different to each other. For example, if you have a freestyle sail, if you have a free ride sail, a slalom sail, or a huge to a small sail, the difference in your positioning should be and will be very, very different. So you cannot always go by the same rule of 5 or 6 hands or whatever it might be that you found online. So I'm going to explain today my way of setting up lines. It might sound a little bit more complicated, but if you really think about it, it is simple and it is easy. It just takes a lot of testing. Now, let's get straight into it. First thing you want is to test out your sail. So all this I'm going to be talking about has to be done in the wind. So you want wind in your sail. The closer that wind is to the wind you're going to be riding in the water, the better. What I mean by that is that, for example, here next year the wind close to the shore is slightly less than the wind out there. So you always have to think that the wind's going to be stronger when you go further out to sea. This is the same as most spots. Obviously, the wind on the beach is rarely ever the same as the wind in the deep, but it does depend where you're surfing. Now, the way we're going to do it, like I said, needs wind, because we're actually going to get in, hook in, and feel the difference between what the sail will be doing when we have our lines further forward or further back. This is the ideal setup, right? Board on the beach, no fin, or the fin dug into the sand if you have a sandy beach. Obviously, don't do that with too big a fin. And your sail set up and rigged properly like you will be using it. If you're not sure how to set up your sail, check out my other video about rigging your sail, right? Hopefully you can get some good tips over there. I'll put the link up to it somewhere on the top here or here. I'm not sure where it goes, but I think it's there. Anyway, so we'll put up the link for you there. Now, so this is the perfect setup. Board on the beach, no fin or fin in the sand if you have a small enough fin. Sail set up all completely properly, and Rocky in the background. Obviously, Rocky is optional, but if you have him, it's better. He's a good supervisor, yeah? So, set up like this. If you can't put a board down on the beach, don't worry. Just discard the board completely and just set up your sail on the ground. Whether it's grass, stone, or sand, you can wash out the sand later. And ideally, if you're doing this for your own equipment, you will only have to do it once or twice until you find the right setup, and then you can memorize on your boom where those lines go. For example, on my boom, I know it's exactly 6 hands, 6 fists down the boom from where my boom starts. So I'll measure like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My line starts right up here, and I have my lines joined together, not spread out. We'll talk about that in a minute. The only thing you have to remember if you're doing it this way is that you have to keep in mind that when you are doing this, you have to keep in mind that the mast will increase the height, of your boom. So if you have your boom here and you're doing it on the ground, so no board, that means that you have to calculate the whole boom will be higher about so much when it's on the board, obviously, right? So if your boom is here, when you're doing on the ground, on the board, your boom will be here. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. Now, let's go with the ideal setup over here. We lift it up and we get into position and see how everything feels. Now, obviously mine is already set up and ready. So let's say it's not. Let's take my Velcro apart, bring my lines randomly and have them like this, like I've just put them on to the boom. Now, how do we find the center if not with this that they usually tell you, let's say 5 hands down the boom? Like I said, that's approximately right for most average sails. That's why they use that. So anything from like a 4.5 to a 5.4, 5.8, we'll use about that, and give or take, it'll be approximately in the right place. Now, in my opinion, the best way to get it in the right place to begin with is to grab your boom, ignore the lines for now, grab your boom as if you're riding on the water, get in the right position, right? It can be in front of your foot straps, you can be in your foot straps, doesn't really matter, but you want to have wind, you want to be on the beach with wind in your sail, and you want to pull the sail as if you're planing in the water. Now, where your hands are going to be holding on to the boom in order to balance it out and feel that right, the correct kind of pressure in your sail to be planing, that'll show you and approximately where your lines have to be set up. So for example, I would hold mine somewhere here, right? So it will be like this, holding the boom. That means that the center right between my 2 hands, so here is the center of power for this sail. So I'd put my lines here. Now, before we start expanding any further, what's the distance between your lines? What's the correct distance? Well, there's no exact correct distance, but what I always recommend all of my friends, students, customers, whoever asks me, is no more than a fist apart. What do I mean by that? So again, the distance between the 2 parts of your harness line here, the top of the harness line, should not be more than a tight fist apart. Why is this? Because the wider the grip of the harness line is, it will be easier to find the center. You will feel like your sail is balanced. However, you will be losing a lot of mobility out of your sail. So you don't want to lose that mobility, especially with new sails when they put so much effort and design into making sails really maneuverable, light feeling, so you can really play around with them. By doing that and spreading out your lines a lot, you just make the sail stay there and you can't really do anything with it. I've seen a lot of people even set them up like this, especially old school riders, right? Like a massive one. That will destroy the feeling of the sail. Again, that's what I think. And it does make your line much shorter than you think you're using. So my lines, for example, are 30 inch, but when they're like this, they're more like a 24, right? So you don't want to do something like that. So no more than a fist apart is what I usually recommend to everyone. And what I say is even better is get them as close as possible. So the closer they are together, the better. For me, if you touch one to the other, even better. 1 finger apart is fine, 2 fingers apart is fine. After that, you start losing some of that maneuverability and flexibility in your sail, right? So if you can keep them close to each other, that's better. Let's start with around a fist apart or a bit closer, 3 fingers apart. So we'll start somewhere here. Now we've approximately found the center by just feeling out the sail. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hook in, right? Again, this has to be done in the wind. So you hook in, and you act as if you're planing. So you get a bit further back, close to your foot straps, in the foot straps or out of them if you like. I found that being just in front of my foot straps makes me feel it out a little bit better and find the balance a little bit better, because the beach will never be exactly the same as riding on the water. And then you just try to take the power, hang back on your sail, feel that force, and see if your sail balances out. Now, if it balances in one go, now what I mean by balances is that you can, while hanging back and having full power in your sail, you can let go of your hands, the power remains the same, you can completely detach, go, and you just keep going, nothing changes. I say that because a lot of people set their lines up very far forwards, because it feels like, oh, I found the balance, with your lines being, let's say many people I know would do them like this. But what that does, it opens up the back more. So the sail is balancing here, but that's only because you have no power in the sail. So you couldn't be planing like this. That means in the water, for you to get power and to feel the correct positioning of the sail, you will have to be using your backhand a lot and constantly pulling it in. We don't want that. We want to be able to maintain not this, but this position of the sail while letting go of both our hands. So you set it up further back where we said, and what this will do is when you let go, the sail will not open up at all. Now this you will really be able to see it by doing this in the wind. Unfortunately, I don't have any wind today, as you see, flat water, no wind here with us, but hopefully you understand what I mean. So with my hands, I'm going to replicate the wind. So the wind would be pushing right in the center of my sail. My sail is a very balanced sail, very nice flow of power through it, and very stable. So it would push pretty much central power here. It's backhanded, so the power comes out of the back. So I would be like this, and the sail would stay upright. But you see, while putting power, even if I open up this power, it's not allowing the back of my sail to open. So it's not doing this. The biggest mistake I've seen most people have is that they have the lines too far forwards, like I said before, and this causes not only the problem that you have to use your backhand, but if you're not using it and you try to relax at any moment, your sail will fly across you towards the front and will cause some pretty big crashes, right? Or it would just be very uncomfortable the whole way through. So having them perfectly balanced in the way that your sail stays in power and upright on its own, this will make the difference between a lot of your sessions. Like, it will completely change your sessions. It will make the difference between a crap session and a really good session, an amazing session. It will make the difference also between being able to ride for an hour or 2 to 3 hours or more even, right? I go out on the water, if I'm not doing anything too crazy, I can stay out for 4 to 5 hours. My arms don't get tired when I'm going in a straight line. They get tired when I'm doing any maneuvers, because that's when I hook out. So when I'm in the lines, my goal is to be completely comfortable and not really have to use my arms too much for anything except of steering control, pumping and steering. Now another reason you do want your lines close together is because, like I said, they give a lot more maneuverability to the sail, right? So if we try to get them close together, they really open up the movements of the sail. This will not only make the sail feel lighter and more responsive to what you do, but also if you need to pump a lot to get started on a certain day, your lines being close together will not eat away at your harness lines because it won't move as much, where if they are open, you're dragging up and down into your lines. So they will not do that, and at the same time it will feel like it's much easier to pump the back of your sail into power. So like I said, if you got that in one go, yay, you've done it. If you haven't, you have to play around a little bit with where you're going to position your lines. Now let's come in a little bit closer and see that up close, how to do it and how to set up your lines and how to move them up and down in the best way possible. Yeah, so come here. So we're going to start off with the lines somewhere like this, just so I can explain the difference. Like I said, I want to get these as close to each other as possible. Now this is not a bad difference. It's not, there's maybe 3 fingers apart, maybe just a little bit more, but ideally I would like them right up next to each other, because I want to get all the mobility I can out of my sail, all the maneuverability and flexibility I can out of my sail. I don't want to lose anything. That means it is harder to find the center of your sail, but like I said, you're only going to have to do this once or twice if you're doing it for your own equipment, and then you've got it, it's finished. So how will we move this? For example, if let's say we've got it set up here, so I know where the center of mine is, so let's say I've got it somewhere like this. In this position, if I was hooked in, I would feel like the sail is opening up from the back too much, right? So the back of the sail is opening up. Again, that means I have to use the back of my hand a lot, and it means that the sail might be forced to come in front of me if I ever relax. So that means I'm constantly in tension, I'm constantly trying to keep it in the right place. That's not what we want. So the back is opening up too much, right? It's pulling too much. So what I need to do is I need to bring my line further back. Now, a lot of people from this position, they would have done the mistake of going, okay, back and back, so to move both further back. This is a huge difference. On windsurfing, especially on most of the average sails, like I said, from 4.5 to 5.4, 5.8, that's a big change, right? You don't want to make such a big change when you're looking for small changes in the feeling. So the back's pulling too much. It doesn't mean you have to change from here, both lines all the way to here. So let's go back where we were, so somewhere here. If we want to get a bit more pressure on the back so it holds in the back a little bit more so we don't have to do it, we would move, first of all, I would say move the back one further back. That makes sense, right? That's the normal thing to do. That's very understandable. And again, the distance between my lines is 1 fist apart. So that would be fine. Now I would check it again. Obviously you don't just say, I've moved it, that's it. You check it again, you hook in. You can do this on the water, obviously you can do it on the beach. Ideally, like I said, you want to do it on the beach. So you check again, oh, you see, and it's still pulling too much on the back. So the back's opening too much. So what you want to do, what would you do? Would you move that one further back again? You could do that, but then you're messing up the 1 fist apart, right? And like I said, we do want to be as close as possible. So what you can do, and a lot of people don't think of this, is you can bring your front one further back. And what this does, obviously, it does not hold the back one in. It opens up the front. So if we see it through pressure again to make more sense, my sail, let's put it back where it was. So my sail was pulling like this. We said the back would have been feeling that it was opening up too much like this. So we could either move the back one back to pull this one in, or what we can do, what I did just now, I bring this one further back, and what that does, it pushes the front side out. So it opens up the front, and this equalizes. Now I have equal power on both sides. My sail is staying straight up, right? Again, this has to be done when you have full power in your sail. So my sail will be staying straight in a closed position, giving me all the power I need, and my lines would be nice and close to each other. So think of it that way. Don't only move the back further back if you need to take the power out of the back, or the front further forward if the front is pulling too much. Equalize it. Bring them as close as you can and find the center. Now, if you want to do it perfectly and you don't mind spending some time there, you could just put them together and move both of them up and down to where it needs. But like I said, that's going to be a little bit harder to find the center. I think it's worth the trouble because, like I said, this can make your session from meh to fantastic, right? So, first thing we said, let's recap quickly. Nice setup sail. Set it up on the beach. Whether you're on a board or you're on the beach, it doesn't matter. You just got to think of the height difference. And then you start by positioning yourself properly on the board, taking all the power in to see where the center of force is, where you're feeling all that power in. Once you find it, you put your lines smack bam in the middle of that, and then you work from there. You get the right position on your board, so like you are when you're sailing, you hook in and you check, is my sail staying powered up and straight up on its own? So can I let go of both my hands off the boom without the sail falling back or flying forwards against my will? And if not, then you work with your lines up and down the boom, and you do this by moving both lines closer or further away to each other. Just remember, not more than a fist apart, and not huge changes when you're first doing that. If you found the center approximately, that only means you need to change each line a few centimeters at a time, right? So I hope that makes sense. Any questions you have, please drop a comment, ask. I'll try and answer them there. It is something that takes a lot of just experimenting, practice and experience. Once you get the hang of it, you can basically do it by eye. Like I go down to a sail, I look at the sail, I'm like approximately here. I'll get it 90% every time, and then I'll work from there. So try that out. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment with any questions. Like I said, like the video if you can, it does help me out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and see you on the water.